There is only war.
Greetings, nerd. As we know, Warhammer 40,000 is filled with mysteries and unanswered questions, and one of them is the King in Yellow, a mysterious monarch second only to the Emperor of Mankind. That is why today we shall discover his identity and his motives. But before we jump in, please subscribe because I just want my legion to grow. Check out my Patreon for some cool art and grab yourself Audible Premium membership for just 99 cents in the pinned comment. In that way, you can gain access to a massive library of Warhammer 40,000 audiobooks without actually buying them. With that said, let's begin, shall we? They say there was once a place so dangerous it devoured the minds of those who read it. A story that whispered through forbidden pages, where truth and illusion melted together until reality itself began to rot. It was called The King in Yellow. In that tale walked a figure wrapped in faded gold, a monarch without a face, veiled by a mask that concealed not identity but something far more terrifying. Revelation. He ruled over a dead city of ghosts and echoes, where memory lingered like smoke and beauty decayed into madness. Those who beheld him spoke of brilliance and ruin intertwined, of a presence that reshaped their understanding of existence until understanding itself became meaningless. That idea of a radiant king who embodies both order and decay resonates in unsettling ways with the deeper mythos of M42. In the dark age of mankind, such archetypes do not remain metaphor. They manifest, they find form in the flesh of legends. There are whispers of one who bears that same duality, a figure of gold and silence, once a guardian, now something far older, far more inscrutable. A being who moves like a shadow cast by forgotten divinity, robed not in yellow silk but in the memory of empire. His loyalty is a question, his nature a paradox. To some, he is a savior, to others a harbinger. Where the King in Yellow's mask concealed a truth too vast to bear, this one's face is hidden behind a legend too sacred to question. Both stand as symbols of knowledge that should never be unveiled, figures of light whose brilliance scorches the minds that try to comprehend them. In the mythic architecture of Warhammer's universe, such parallels are rarely coincidence. The King in Yellow is a strange and powerful figure in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, said to have power and authority that could match the Emperor himself. His story is one of mystery and importance, and in the novel Beckwin Penitent, we finally learn who he really is. The King in Yellow is revealed to be Constantine Valdor, the Emperor's Spear, the first of the 10,000. Valdor is a name known in every corner of the Imperium, a warrior whose strength, loyalty, and purpose shaped the early days of mankind's greatest empire. Even among the custodies, who are each unique creations of the Emperor, Valdor stands apart. He is the first and greatest of them all, a warrior forged with care, purpose, and something that no other custodies ever truly possessed: independence. Valdor's skill in battle, his sharp mind, and his deep loyalty made him equal to the Primarchs. He fought not for glory or conquest, but to protect the Emperor and his vision, no matter the cost. His life was duty, his purpose clear. He stood beside the Emperor through the Unification Wars, the Great Crusade, and the terrible fires of the Horus Heresy. On Prospero, on Terra, at the siege itself, Valdor's blaze struck true. He defended the Imperial Palace with unmatched strength, his golden armor shining in the storm of chaos. He fought like a living weapon, a champion without equal, and even the Astartes who saw him in battle could only stare in disbelief. But after the Emperor's final battle with Horus, when the Master of Mankind was left broken upon the Golden Throne, something changed. Valdor vanished. His name faded from records, his fate unknown. He had been the Emperor's most trusted guardian, yet he chose to leave. The question remains, why? To understand Valdor's decision, you must understand who he truly was. His origins are unclear, but it is said that the Emperor crossed entire continents to find him, wiping out armies and nations in the process. Valdor remembered little of his life before that, but his loyalty was unshakable. During the Unification Wars, he followed every order, even when it meant killing the innocent. He once executed Kojuzu, the minister of the Anuatan Steppes, for stealing the last of Terra's water, not out of hate, but out of obedience to the Emperor's dream. Yet, as time went on, Valdor began to think for himself. During the Battle of Molan Sen, he saw the brutality of the Thunder Warriors and realized that their savagery would destroy everything the Emperor hoped to build. For a Custodes to question anything was rare, but Valdor did. He began to act not only out of loyalty, but out of understanding. And the Emperor and Malkador welcomed it. He was unique among the uniques. By the end of the Unification Wars, Valdor had become one of the 3 most powerful figures on Terra. When Primarchs were scattered, Valdor knew of their loss and doubted they could ever be found. When Malkador told him they still lived, Valdor could not understand why Chaos had spared them, and he feared what that meant. He was right to be afraid. Valdor wanted instead to raise mortal armies, guided by the Custodes, rather than rely on the unstable power of the Primarchs. His ability to think freely, create secret plans, and make decisions on his own showed how different he was from his brothers. A Custodes is not meant to hide things from the Emperor, but Valdor did. During the Siege of Terra, Valdor fought like a god of war. Loyalist Marines saw him cut through traitors as if they were nothing. The gap between a Custodes like Valdor and even the strongest Astartes was immense. He also sent Aemon Tauromachian, one of his closest Custodes, to investigate demonic signs within the palace. When Aemon asked what to do about Euphrates Keeler and her growing faith in the Emperor, Valdor said to leave her unharmed. This small decision would change the Imperium forever. Keeler's fate would become the seed of the imperial cult, the belief that the Emperor is not just a man but a god. Without Valdor's choice, that belief might have never spread. Later, during the fall of the Landsgate spaceport, Valdor fought beside Jagadak Khan and Raldoron, holding the Colossi Gate against endless demons. When Basilio Foe escaped from the Blackstone prison, Valdor hunted him personally, believing the man's work could either save or doom humanity. After defeating a Night Lord, Valdor spared Foe, seeing potential in his creation, the bioweapon that could end all of the Space Marines and potentially Primarchs. Valdor's story is not one of simple loyalty or power, but of choice. He was the Emperor's first true son, a being created to obey, who learned to question. His hand shaped the Imperium, his decisions changed history, and his disappearance remains one of the greatest mysteries in the galaxy. Perhaps he left because he saw something was coming. Perhaps he left to prepare for it. The King in Yellow waits, and his time is not yet over. Many things happened during Horus Heresy, but when looking at Valdor, we need to see his character development, his independence, how he interacted with Primarchs, especially with Rogel Dorn. We were faithful. I watched while your brotherhood was created. I studied you. I saw the dangers in you from the start, and witnessed the way you fought and acted and quarreled. And still, I said nothing. If there had been a time to question an order, perhaps it was then. But the moment passed and your great success came soon afterwards. I will be honest now with you, for you have been honest with me. I did not believe you would ever be that deadly. I saw how swiftly you conquered worlds and said to myself, perhaps this is why you were made in the way you were. That was your great victory. You became untouchable. But now, we see the errors implicit in your forging. I should have spoken earlier. By the time war came to this place, the moment had passed and we were all trapped by our fates. You say that the defense of the tunnels was doomed? Perhaps so. I have fought in other wars, more than you will ever know, that were also doomed, and they always played some part in his pattern. I still cleave to that. The only element that could not be accounted for was you. In the final moments of the Horus Heresy, Constantine Valdor faced a battle that would change him forever. He fought against Abaddon, who was empowered by the forces of chaos, and during their brutal clash, something extraordinary happened. Abaddon seized Valdor's Apollonian spear, and as his blood spilled upon it, a vision was born. A glimpse into the far future, a terrible truth that would shape everything that came after. In that instant, Valdor saw the rise of the Black Legion and the endless wars that would consume humanity. He saw the Imperium rotting from within, locked in a cycle of violence and despair, and he saw Abaddon's name carved into history as the Despoiler. Even the Emperor's Tarot revealed this fate, showing the card of the Despoiler standing against the light of mankind. This vision broke something within Valdor. From that moment, his view of the Primarchs and the Space Marines changed. The respect he once held turned to cold judgment, even disdain. He saw in them the seeds of the Imperium's decay, flawed beings whose pride and rage would one day lead humanity to ruin. This moment marks the turning point in Valdor's life, the point where he truly became independent. He began to think and act on his own, no longer waiting for orders from the Emperor or Malcador. He could not because there was no one left to guide him. Malcador noticed this change, and rather than fear it, he welcomed it. For the first time, Valdor was not just the Emperor's spear. He was his own weapon, guided by the truth of what he had seen and the terrible burden of knowing what the future would bring. After the long silence that followed the siege of Terra, Constantine Valdor left the Imperial Palace and vanished, fading into legends. But his disappearance was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater. Centuries later, whispers speak of a figure known only as the King in Yellow, a being of immense power who rules from a strange and haunted place called the City of Dust. This realm is said to exist in the aftermath of the inevitable city's destruction, a strange, unstable pocket between the warp and real space. The inevitable city itself was a creation born of chaos, built by or for Horus as a bridge between the material and the immaterial. The City of Dust, by contrast, is a ruin of that dream, a shadow world where reality and the warp bleed into one another, and it is here that Valdor, the King in Yellow, now resides. From this city, Valdor has been quietly building an army unlike any seen before. He gathers followers, warriors, and scholars from across the stars, some human, some alien, some something else entirely. His influence reaches into the heart of the Imperium itself, with agents hidden in the Inquisition, with noble houses, trading guilds, planetary governments, and even among the Xenos. He has enemies everywhere, Chaos Warbands, the Eldar of the Craft Worlds, and the Inquisition itself all consider him a dire threat. Yet, for every hunter sent to find him, he seems to know their every move before they act. The King in Yellow is always several steps ahead, as though guided by a higher purpose. Over time, it becomes clear that Valdor has become far more powerful than anyone suspected. His command of ancient science, forbidden genecraft, and psychic mastery places him just one step below the Emperor himself. Many wonder, was this what the Emperor intended? Was Valdor meant to rise again, not as a servant, but as a contingency? For a long time, we have talked about these contingencies, secret plans set in motion by the Emperor and Malcador to ensure humanity's survival should the worst occur. Perhaps Valdor is one of those plans made flesh. Among the most interesting of Valdor's actions is his infiltration of the Cognitae, an ancient organization said to rival even the Inquisition in age and secrecy, going as far back as the story of the Tower of Babel. The Cognitae believe that humanity can only evolve by mastering chaos itself, using its power instead of denying it. They operate hidden cloning facilities, secret academies, and research into forbidden sciences long outlawed by the Imperium. Valdor not only infiltrated the Cognitae, but took control of it from within, steering its vast network of knowledge and resources towards his own unknown goals. He now commands armies of modified warriors, laboratories filled with psychic experiments, and even remnants of Istvan V survivors who once fought against their own brothers. In the City of Dust, Valdor has built a grand palace, a fortress of impossible geometry, shimmering between realities. His armies are as strange as the city itself, towering winged warriors resembling blood angels born of Sanguinius' genetic legacy. Some say this is Valdor's tribute to the angelic Primarch, whom he respected deeply. Yet others whispered that these warriors are a cruel echo of that legacy, for Valdor keeps many of them locked in a permanent state of black rage. Why he does this remains a mystery. Is it punishment, experimentation, or preparation for something far greater? Valdor has also begun assembling legions of soulless blank clones, hosts for strange beings known as Grails, luminous entities of the warp that seem to be the opposite of demons. Where demons feed on corruption, Grails radiate a strange light, disciplined and bound. The Inquisition once sought to use such beings, but only Valdor seems to have mastered them. Why is he doing this? Many believe he is attempting to create the perfect vessel for the Emperor's soul. What we do know is that before the Emperor fought Horus, he severed a fragment of his soul and released it in the warp. This shard, filled with compassion and love for humanity, formed what some call the Star Child. It is said to be part of the Emperor that hears the prayers of the faithful and gives rise to the saints and miracles. If this is true, Valdor may be working to prepare a new body for that soul, one capable of holding its divine essence without being destroyed. A blank body stripped of a warp's presence would make sense. The pariah gene, after all, repels the warp. It is the perfect shield for a god's spirit. The pariah gene would allow this body to carry this immensely powerful soul without falling apart. That would also explain why he allowed Euphrates Keeler to live, because he needed that fate to empower that part of the Emperor's soul. If this is Valdor's plan, then perhaps the Emperor forbade study of the pariah gene precisely because it was part of something far greater. His original body may have carried this gene, linking him forever to the material realm, while allowing it to be the vessel for his soul. And perhaps Valdor knows this truth. Perhaps he has known it all along. Valdor is not rebelling against the Emperor, but fulfilling his final will. He is building a vessel, a body for the Emperor's compassionate fragment, the Star Child. When the time is right, when the Imperium is on the brink, that soul could return to reclaim its throne, and Valdor, ever the Emperor's spear, would be the one to deliver it. It all makes even more sense when you start to understand what the recent revelation about the Terminus Decree truly means. If you don't know, then I shall leave a link to that video in the pinned comment. Even stranger still, there are whispers that Valdor speaks with the Emperor across the Immaterium, their minds connected between the Golden Throne and the City of Dust. If this is true, then none of what is happening is coincidence. It means the Emperor himself is still guiding Valdor, and that every move the King in Yellow makes is part of a divine plan that has been unfolding for 10,000 years. Constantine Valdor remains one of the most fascinating and mysterious figures in all of the Warhammer 40,000. His story, half truth and half prophecy, could change everything we know about the Imperium. Is he a savior preparing for the Emperor's rebirth, or a rogue godmaker playing with forbidden forces? Only time will tell. Only time will tell. One thing is certain. The King in Yellow is not done yet, and when he returns, the galaxy will never be the same. But there is one more layer to this mystery. I already stated that at the beginning of this video. Something that connects not only to Valdor's secret purpose, but the very myth of the King in Yellow itself. You see, the King in Yellow isn't just a name, it's an archetype, an echo that has existed since before the Imperium's birth. In ancient human memory, the play of the same title whispered of a monarch whose presence shattered reality. The same story that drove men mad may, in truth, have been psychic echo from the warp, an imprint of something real. Perhaps the Emperor himself encountered it when he was still walking among men, and sealed it away, knowing it could twist even the greatest of minds. Now, imagine Valdor, loyal beyond reason, finding fragments of that forbidden truth hidden within the Emperor's secret archives, or perhaps whispered by the Emperor himself before the siege. The idea of a perfect being who could reshape the world through understanding alone, who could transcend chaos not by denying it but by mastering it. This would have fascinated Valdor, who always sought understanding rather than blind obedience. The King in Yellow then becomes both prophecy and curse, the shape that a savior takes when he learns too much. Valdor's City of Dust may not be just a fortress, it is a living idea, built out of psychic resonance, existing halfway between the material and the immaterial. Those who enter it are set to lose track of time, to feel memories of other lives, as if the city itself is built from the echoes of human dreams. That fits perfectly what the play always represented, the disillusion of the self when faced with infinite truth. So what if Valdor has become the custodian of this cosmic revelation? The King in Yellow is not an enemy of the Emperor, but his mirror, the reflection of what happens when knowledge and devotion become one. Valdor's golden armor may have tarnished to yellow because it no longer reflects light, it emits it, a light too alien for mortal eyes. His followers, the blank soldiers and grails, may not be warriors in the traditional sense, but instruments designed to stabilize the bridge between the Emperor's divine essence and reality. The pariahs repel the warp, the grails anchor it. Together they form a lattice capable of binding godhood itself. If this theory is true, Valdor's work is not rebellion, it's preparation. He's creating the stage on which the Emperor will return, the final act of a cosmic play that began before the Horus Heresy. The mask of the King in Yellow is both crown and prison. It hides the face of Valdor so that no demon, no god, no mortal can corrupt the work before it's complete. And when the time comes, when the Imperium's fate falters and the throne finally fails, that mask will fall, and behind it will not be madness, but revelation. The play will end where it began, and the audience will realize they were part of it all along. Valdor's transformation into the King in Yellow is thus not a tragedy, but an evolution. He has become the Emperor's will made independent, the guardian of humanity's second dawn. Whether that dawn burns or saves the galaxy will depend on how much of the Emperor still lives within the King in Yellow. But what do you think about this eldritch monarch? Is it really Valdor or something else? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a like, subscribe, and use the brand new hype feature to help the channel grow. That is the best way you can support my content without spending a dime. And trust me when I say this, it will help massively. Check out Patreon for some cool art, and as always, join Discord for a friendly banter. With that said, this is the end of the briefing.